The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're gonna love it.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so today I have to give credit to two guys for bringing this handsome gentleman on. And one is Scott Sieverts from the Berm Pit podcast, whom I'm also going to be recording with. And then J Slay USA, Jeremy Sladen. He's sent me a ton of good guys, and today is no different. All right, listen, everybody, we are in for a great episode today, and someone that you've probably heard on clips on the Deep Shallow Dive several times. If you follow our Instagram, you'll absolutely recognize Phil Tourney. And Phil Tourney is one of the survivors, and then also one of, if not the prominent voice when it comes to the USS Liberty. And for those of you that are not up to speed on the USS Liberty, honestly, this is probably the most important thing and overlooked thing potentially in American history. And it was the attack on a United States naval vessel, I believe in 1967, and it had to do with the 6-day war that was taking place, ironically, in the Israel area. And Phil was literally on the USS Liberty and survived, and is here today to basically take us through all of that day, which is just insane. And then, quite frankly, the cover up and everything that's taken place since then, and then talk about the efforts to bring this to the forefront. So, hey man, welcome, Phil. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you.
Well, that's very kind of you, Ray. I take it as a badge of honor too for you to continue on with what you're doing and get my name out there. Yeah, I got aboard the USS Liberty in 1965. I did two tours of Vietnam before I even got aboard Liberty.
Wow.
Yeah, and glad to be on the East Coast. I was tired of the West Coast and what was going on over there anyway. Glad to get out of that deal, but got aboard the Liberty early in 65 and stayed there till the very last cruise. That was until June the 8th, 1967.
And how old were you at that time?
Well, I got aboard the Liberty when I was 18, and the attack.
Oh my God.
The attack was when I was 20. I was 20 years old. Yeah, I was doing a man's job, and I was proud to do it. I loved joining the Navy. I'll tell you why, Ray, because of the red, white, and blue. And my dad and uncle fought in World War II. My uncle was captured by the Germans. And just a quick note, my Uncle Morris spent about 2 years in a concentration camp. And he told me, Phil, nobody had anything to eat. The guards, nobody. They gave us potato skins to eat, and the officers got potatoes. So they weren't mistreated, but nobody had any food. And that's kind of the story that has been always stuck in my head. My dad was an infantryman mortarman in World War II. Fought a lot of Battle of Bulge, a lot of. But that's my background. I really wanted to go into the military because at that time I was working for my dad. I had quit school in 7th grade, so I go work for my dad. He needed somebody to help him, and that was fine with me. But when I turned 17, I said, "Well, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go serve my country and do something different and new." But now I feel so sorry for everybody that's in the military, and I mean this so very respectfully. I've learned over the years all the wars we fought for the benefit of the Zionist state, including what's going on now in the world. But June 8, 1967, the day before that, Ray, we were overflown. We got on station by Israeli reconnaissance aircraft. They were marked now, Ray. We waved at the pilots and they waved back. And we were very comfortable because we asked for a destroyer escort and we were denied because we're going into a war zone and we knew that.
Yeah.
So we don't get any help. They said, "Oh, your American flag is flying. You're clearly marked. Don't worry about it." And when we saw the Israelis, when we got on station on the 7th, flying over us and dancing their wings and everything, and waving at them. We thought everything was great. We were glad they were there. They were there just in case the Arabs tried to come get us. June the 8th, the morning of June the 8th, the same thing over and over again. Flying boxcar, DC-3, smaller airplanes, taking pictures of us over and over and over again. We'd wave at them, same thing the next day, to tilt their wings in respect. And we felt great. It felt great until it happened.
Man, but how much I mean, do you remember this clear as day? Because obviously that was a really traumatic event. Like, are you guys on the USS Liberty and it's June 8th? And then, I mean, do you just remember like what happened? They started what I don't even know what they fired at you guys. Was it guns? What was it?
Well, a good question, Ray, and I'll explain it to you. The attack started at approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon, their time. They attacked us with unmarked jet aircraft, Steer and Mirage jets, at least 30 sorties. 30 sorties in a matter of 25 minutes.
What's a sortie? What's a sortie?
It's 30 different airplanes coming at us.
30 different airplanes. Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah, 30 different sorties, firing rockets, cannons, and machine guns. They even dropped napalm on the ship. Yeah, they're trying to burn us up. So Terry Halbardier hooked a wire up to one of the antennas that he took offline because it wasn't tuning. Ray, they took out every tuning antenna aboard that ship within seconds. They took our 450 caliber machine guns out in the first few seconds. And Terry finally got a message out. He struck a long wire to the antenna. He took off. Rockstar, under attack by an unknown jet aircraft. The message went to the 6th Fleet. In fact, it went as far away as Vietnam. Everybody heard it. The 6th Fleet heard it. Captain Tully, a dear friend of mine that has passed on, he had throat cancer and died. He was the skipper of the Saratoga. He sent aircraft immediately to come to our aid, and they were recalled by Johnson before they even hit the horizon. Do not help Liberty. Do not help Liberty. And they didn't. They called them back. Again, now the America launches and the Saratoga launches again. Johnson gets on the phone. He says, turn those GD aircraft around. I will not embarrass my ally Israel. Now, how did he know who was attacking it? How did he know who was attacking it if we didn't?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, everybody, when Phil says Johnson, he's talking about Lyndon B. Johnson, whom, in my opinion, was absolutely the worst president in the history of the United States by far, and probably the president that completely changed the direction of everything that we are currently experiencing and have experienced in the United States. I really feel that way. I think Lyndon B. Johnson had a part in taking out JFK, and that was all by design because everything that happened that JFK was trying to do, Lyndon B. Johnson immediately after his assassination completely reversed course on all that. So anyway, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, you're exactly right. You should bring that up, Ray. Ben-Gurion didn't like what Kennedy was saying. He wanted no nuclear testing. Dimona needed to be inspected, and many other things he disagreed with, and he wasn't going to give it to him.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody, so what Phil's talking about here is David Ben-Gurion, who was the founder of Israel. Him and John F. Kennedy were absolutely at odds over two things. One, JFK did not want Israel to continue with their nuclear proliferation. I've talked about this before on the podcast. And then two, he also wanted to require Israel to register as a foreign agent in America. Both of those things, obviously, JFK gets assassinated. LBJ comes in and literally shuts down both of those. He lets them continue to proliferate nuclear weapons, and then he completely buries the paperwork and the process of making Israel become a foreign agent. Oh man, Phil, it's just insane. Like, it's so obvious that Lyndon B. Johnson basically set you guys up.
Yeah, he set us up to be slaughtered by the Zionist state, and they enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
They enjoyed doing it. They did everything they could to sink us.
Yeah. Yeah. Like their goal was for to sink you guys, right? Like you should not be here right now. They wanted to kill everybody.
No, I shouldn't be here. None of us should be here. But
Yeah.
25-minute attack, if they finally ceased and stopped, we thought it was over. But no, it was just beginning. There was three
Holy shit.
mortar torpedo boats off our starboard side. We saw the Star of David. We thought they were there to help us. And I might remind you, we had the Star of David all throughout our ship because we wanted our best friends in the whole wide world to win. To win. What we know, brainwashed.
Right. At that point, you guys are there. Basically, you're there to support Israel in this 6-day war that was happening against, I believe, Egypt and Syria and the other Middle Eastern countries. So it was almost like, talk about your greatest ally. You guys went in there thinking your greatest ally is there on your side. Let me ask you, when the attack was happening, when did you guys realize it was Israel attacking you guys?
When we saw the torpedo boats, Ray,
Okay.
and they had the
Okay.
Star of David on them, and we were happy as hell.
Jesus.
We
Yeah.
thought they were coming there to help us because nobody else was there. Our own country, we didn't know at the time, left us
Yeah.
out there to die. And the attack continued for another hour and a half. They fired 5 torpedoes at us. 5. 2, I know where 2 went. They went aft. Where the other 2 went, I don't know. I know where 1 hit, right in the CT spaces where the spies were. But they would come over, they would get close to our ship. And I might remind you, but during the air attack, we had a brand new flag up, a 5x8 colors. They shot that down. We put up another flag. I didn't personally, but somebody did, the signal one. They shot that one down. They put up the last flag we had was a 7x13. You could see it forever, just like the 5x8s. They knew we were American and did it anyway because Johnson set us up, just like you said. But the torpedo boats circled us over and over again, firing cannons and rockets and machine guns at us. It was so bad.
It's terrible. Let me ask you this. So did it become apparent to you after why did they do this? Was it a false flag? Like, was it to try and blame Egypt? Like, were they going to say, oh, look, the Egyptians attacked the USS Liberty, and then it gave Johnson, I guess, the green light with the American people to further get involved in that, or did that ever come out as to why they did it?
Well, I'll answer that in a second. The torpedo boats, they shot all our life rafts up. They either burn them. We only had 3 left, right? 3 of them. We put those life rafts over. The old man says, prepare to abandon ship, because when that torpedo hit us, it picked the whole ship up.
Yeah.
And slammed it back down the water. 25 Americans, bravest souls, CTs, gave their life for this country that set them up to be murdered. They shot the life rafts out of the water. That's a war crime. There's many war crimes put upon the USS Liberty. Many war crimes. And our government supports that. We put in a petition for a war crimes commission to the Army. They're the ones that take care of it. In 2005, one before that, and they've done nothing about it. They hate us. They want nothing to do with the USS Liberty because we expose all the rotten bastards for who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
this is like the most buried or attempt to bury something potentially in the history of the United States. Like, I can't think of another situation where American soldiers and American, combatants are literally openly attacked, and the story is just completely buried.
Sure, it's buried, and it's just, living through it and everything. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember a lot of it, almost all of it. Some I don't, of course. I mean, the mind can't do it.
Yeah.
Well, the bravest crews, I mean, we had nothing to fight back but our wills and our wit to live. And, There was no help anywhere around. Our government left us out there for over 17 hours. It didn't even send a Piper Cub over to see how we were doing. They left us out there. Doc Kiefer was operating on men all night long. I helped him in several operations. I was holding a battle lantern.
Oh,
This man, Gary Blanchard, he was on there and he on the table and he was hit terribly bad. He said, Tourney, take my socks off for me and rub my feet. And I did. And he looked at me and says, you think I'm going to live? I says, no, man, I don't think you are.
Jesus. God damn.
And Doc cut him open and he was dead. They put a few stitches in him, Doc did, and we put him over the side, and that went on all night.
My God. So how did how did it finally end? Did they just give up because they couldn't sink you guys, or was there finally aid sent your way?
Well, what they did, they confessed too early because the word went out around the world, and they knew that they couldn't lie anymore because the whole plan was to sink us fast, blame it on Nasser, bring us into World War III. Listen, there were SAC aircraft that left our country in Nebraska. I think it was Nebraska, SAC aircraft, even before we were attacked on their way to incinerate Cairo. That's how diabolical this government is, especially LBJ. But I'll tell you one thing, every president on from that day has gone along with the same old lie.
Yeah.
Every congressperson, everybody, or congressmen, senators have gone along with the same old lie. They say they've had a lot of investigations into Liberty. They're lying. They've never had one, not one. But they lied to us, lied to the people. Said, well, there's been many investigations. It was a mistaken identity. No, it wasn't. We told Admiral Kidd that when he interrogated us 2 days out of sea. Most of the crew was sent to get care.
Yeah.
There was 174 wounded. And the Admiral warned us. He says, I told him exactly the way I felt. Why didn't you come help us? How come the America didn't come help us? How come the Israelis could get by with this, shooting the life rafts, trying to kill us all? And he says, listen, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen to it very close. Don't you ever repeat a word about what you said to me about what happened, or I'll make sure you end up in prison or worse. You know what worse means? I says, yes,
probably
sir.
dead.
Of course.
Yeah. So wait, who was this? The admiral that was on the ship was telling you guys this?
No, he came aboard. He was Admiral Isaac Kidd, 2 days at sea.
Okay.
So they were going to catch us before we got to port. They sent us, by the way, to the farthest port we could go to is Malta. Took us 7 days to get there, doing 4 knots with a 40 by 40 foot hole in the ship.
Got it.
So him and his underling, Captain Ward Boston, he was a JAG officer, which later in life, before he died, recanted, says, we knew it was not a mistaken identity. We knew that it was a pre-planned attack. We knew the Israelis did it on purpose. And he signed a signed affidavit on that. You can find it on their website, libertyveterans.org.
Okay, got it. So this dude comes on board before you guys get to Malta and basically says, quite frankly, pardon my French, you guys better just shut the fuck up, not talk about this, nothing happened or else, right? That was kind of the message.
That was a message. That was totally the message. And hey, it worked with me. I'll tell you why, Ray. I didn't talk about this until I met my second wife. That was 42 years ago. There was a Master Chief, Stan White, wrote an article in one of the local papers there, the Rocky Mountain News. It's no longer in print now, but it's very small. But I said, wow, if he can start talking about it, I'm going to. And the USS Liberty Veterans Association was just getting started then. So I haven't shut up since. And my wife's helped me every step of the way. But, telling her I was aboard this ship, I never even told her I was in the military until that day because I buried it.
Yeah. I listen, I totally get that. I mean, you're a young kid going through, such a traumatic event. And then also what you shared at the beginning, where you said, hey, it was an honor to serve in the military. I wanted to serve in the military. Man, talk about that bubble being burst. You probably were like so disappointed in our military that they let you guys basically hang out to dry like that. Let me ask you this. When you got back to America, was there any, did anyone else take you aside? And was there any other, I guess, entities that kind of reinforced what that admiral told you guys before, and that is to keep quiet?
Well, they told us also never talk to the press. That's a no-no.
Okay. Okay.
So to be honest with you, Ray, I was just happy to be alive
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I get
still
that.
have my
I get
limbs.
that.
I was the walking wounded. I got wounded, yeah. But some of these guys are wounded so bad you couldn't even look at them. That's how badly they were wounded. It's
Wow.
terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible. How many survivors were there? Were there a lot of survivors of that day?
Well, there were 34 initially killed.
34 killed. Okay.
34 killed in action. No, not killed in action, just slaughtered. Let's put it that way.
Slaughtered.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a better way to put it.
And then 174 others wounded, including myself. But there were walking wounded. There were people that couldn't do anything. There were people that were crying for help. The whole mess decks was full of people, that were wounded. I mean, wounded severely, Ray.
Yeah.
It was sickening to see, and your heart went out to everybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, did the government take care of you guys when you got back?
Absolutely not. No. In fact, I went to the VA one time. This is when I was married to my first wife. They said, you don't have the stuff for what the VA needs. I mean, your record doesn't show it. And I thought, wow, got, Purple Heart, Bronze Star with a V, and other medal, Vietnam service medal, but they don't want to talk to me or take care of me. So I was soured on the VA till later in life. But yeah, it's been a struggle for all of us. I mean,
I could imagine. I could imagine. That's God, that's such a hard thing to live with. And there's got to be so much anger. You know what I mean? Like just anger. I completely understand when I see veterans that are just angry at unfortunately it's at this country, but it's those politicians that ruined everything, and even until this day, I tell everybody, I'm like, listen, it's not quote unquote America. It's not me and Phil and our neighbors and the people that listen to this podcast. It's this select group of politicians that have absolutely hijacked power. And, unfortunately, they manipulate the media and make it out where there's always a boogeyman. There's always a big bad wolf. We always have an enemy. It went from the Soviet Union to then the war on terror and the Middle East and all of that. They're recranking up that playbook today. I feel like we're back in another 9/11 situation where it's this, war on terror and, Muslims are bad and we need somebody to fight. Crazy, man. It's crazy.
absolutely it's crazy. And it's been going on for a long time. These
Yeah.
politicians have sold their soul to the Zionist state. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
98% of them take money from AIPAC. They get their
Yeah.
marching orders from AIPAC. They go to Israel on AIPAC's money. They get treated like kings and queens. And when they make legislation or vote on something, Israel always gets the heavy end of the purse.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they got more money for murdering Americans on the high seas than they ever got in their life. Johnson gave them all kinds of money after murdering Americans. He could care less about us, but we spoiled their plans. And I'll tell you who really spoiled was God. The only person that was there that day to help us was Jesus Christ. So all power goes to him, King of
Yeah.
Kings, for what he did for us. And
Yeah.
still doing.
Absolutely.
And still doing.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, man, it's been incredible how outspoken you've been. And I'm so glad you've gotten kind of the notoriety that you've gotten. And I think it all started with Candace Owens. I believe you went on Candace Owens. And then from there, gosh, I've seen you on so many different podcasts, including the Berm Pit and J Slay USA and some others. We've got to get you on Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan. I think those are the only two maybe that are still left for you, right?
Yeah, I think they are. Well, to all the podcasters out that's had me on, it really started with Candace and Jake Shields and
Well, yeah, Jake Shields, that was a great episode too.
Scott Ritter. There's just so many of them.
Yeah,
I apologize for not remembering them all. I'm honored to be on them, but yeah, the alternative media is changing people's minds, and thank God that we have people like you and all the rest of them that, hey, we're just telling you the truth. You
right,
know,
right, exactly,
handle the truth. You can
exactly.
handle the truth. You've been told lies for years, but our Congress could care less about you. If they give all the money to Israel, which they are, to kill innocent men and women and children, starve them to death, that isn't up
Yeah.
my alley.
Amen. It's not up my alley either. All right, let's talk a little bit about. I got to ask you about Trump because he's been a topic of conversation with a bunch of my guests, including Jay Slay and Scott. You know, man, what's going on with this guy? Because I know, similar to myself, you voted for him, and we thought he was headed in one direction, but all of a sudden, it's kind of like he's unrecognizable. What are your thoughts?
Boy, I have a lot of 'em. The first one is that when he first got elected in 2016, I said a border, that's the best thing for America. And if he supports that, I'm going to support him. I knew he was a billionaire and he flaunts a lot of stuff, but I thought, well, maybe he's an outsider. He's never been an outsider. He's always been a deep stater.
Yeah,
And now I finally figured it out. Now the border, I'm glad he's doing things with that, getting criminals out of here that were torturing and murdering and raping our beautiful families, men, women, and children.
yeah,
I'm all for that. But his policies on the Middle East, we're supplying the money to kill innocent men and children. And now they're getting ready to take all of Gaza City. They're going to run them all out. And so
yeah, yeah,
I didn't vote for that. I voted for him 3 times, but not for this.
right.
Said he was going to end 2 wars the first day he was in office. It's worse now than it ever was. And Zelensky just said a little while ago, he's not giving up an inch of land. So
Yeah, yeah.
come on, guys. We're not all that stupid, are we? But we've been
No, I mean, I hope not. I really hope not. And I hope that, I'm seeing a definite divide in Trump's base. People are pissed off. They're like, where's the Epstein files? Like you just said, hey, you said you were gonna I would end the Russia-Ukraine war in 24 hours. I'd end that war in 24 hours. Here we are almost 200 days later. That's not over. The Gaza situation is as bad as it's ever been. Every other day, Netanyahu is visiting the White House and visiting Mar-a-Lago. It just doesn't make sense, man. I thought the same thing. I thought, hey, here's an outsider, but it's becoming clear that the outsider was always an insider. He just made us think he was an outsider.
absolutely. And listen, there have been some good congressmen and people like that. Paul Finley, he was very much for the USS Liberty and getting things out.
Yeah.
And James Trafficant.
Well, yeah, James Trafficant from Ohio,
Yeah,
actually. I grew up in Ohio,
yeah,
and I remember James. That dude was a beast.
yeah,
That dude was a beast. And they took him out.
yeah,
They
yeah,
took him out. He died in some weird farm
yeah,
accident on his farm.
yeah.
Crazy.
A tractor
A
fell.
tractor. A tractor fell on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Unbelievable. Let me ask you this. Over the years, was there any politician that tried to champion your cause? Or was this thing just so brushed under the rug? It isn't until recent you guys really started talking about it again?
Well, we've had several, Pete McCluskey in California and Adlai Stevenson.
Yeah.
I had a radio show on Republic Broadcasting years back, and he was on there before he passed, but he was totally on our side. I mean, these people get it. Ding
Yeah.
Rusk, former Secretary of State, he got it. And he said the attack on the USS Liberty will always remain a scar on America.
Yeah.
So he knew the real deal. And he was Johnson's Secretary of State, and he told it like it was. He knew what was going on. So did so many others.
Yeah.
But it's a terrible situation. It's getting worse by the day. Listen, Ray, if they can get by with murdering Americans on the high seas and brutalizing them for 2 hours with a helpless crew that had nothing and try to murder us all, and they took great joy in it. In fact, there's a lifeboat we put over in Haifa, I heard, as a trophy of the kill of Americans.
God.
And we're giving them all this money. Are you kidding me? Wake up, America. Somebody better wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's the red, white, and blue. The red, white, and blue. That's what we go for. We go back to our founders, what they gave up. Can you imagine the hardships? Everything they gave up in their lives was for America. And that isn't that way anymore. Everything we give up is to everybody else. We give foreign aid to everybody. Let them fight their old damn wars. We'll take care of America. You fight your own wars, and you're not off the tit of America. America would be out of debt 5 years.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, I think people thought Trump was the guy to do that, but it's become painfully obvious he's definitely not the guy. So let me ask you this: how can people find you? How can people help? You know, is the website the best place for me to put and direct people to go? Or are you doing the speaker circuit? I know you got a podcast that you're starting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's the Phil Tourney podcast. By the way, thanks, Ray, for giving me a little plug there. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be on X and TikTok and Rumble and everywhere I can get it before I get kicked off. YouTube.
There you go. Well, we'll support it. And hell, if you want to bring me on as a guest, I'll come on.
I'd love it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Totally.
Thank you for the offer. That will happen.
We'll talk all about that. All right, listen, I wanted to use today to get you introduced to the audience personally. You know, like I said, I've played several of your clips in the past. I'm continuing to play, you know, various clips that come out about you or that you do, because you are on a lot of media. You're on a lot of different clips on Instagram, which is amazing. I would love to, you know, stay in touch with you. And then once you got your podcast up and running, hell, I'd love to be a guest on your podcast. But then I'd also love to bring you back on and have you give us updates of maybe where, you know, things are progressing. You know, we've got to get a guy like maybe Thomas Massey to champion this cause. You know, I think there needs to be more notoriety about what happened to the USS Liberty. It definitely has got on some people's radar, but we need it on the mainstream radar, because I look at it as something that was, I mean, it was an inside job for sure. And we've got to come to terms with that. We've got to come to terms with JFK's assassination, 9/11, all these things. We need the truth. And the USS Liberty is really at the forefront of all that.
Right. It is. And, you know, Ray, you can go to libertyveterans.org.
Okay.
libertyveterans.org. They have a ship store there, or we do. It's managed by my dear friend Mo Schaefer.
Okay.
And you can donate there. You can buy shirts, coins. There's so many things there that you can go over, and you can learn a lot about the real truth of the USS Liberty. It's a beautiful site. We're still trying to make it better. We do that every day. We would hope that your people out there, and I guess we call it TV land now.
Yeah.
You know, you speak
TV land or internet land or whatever. All right, I'm gonna put all those links in. I'll go get myself a T-shirt so I can rock some gear. But all right, listen, Phil, hold on the line. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I absolutely did. You know, the story of the USS Liberty is a story that everybody needs to understand. It's part of America's history, but unfortunately, it's part of the history that they don't want you to know about, and they want to, you know, sweep under the rug. But you know what? we need to know the truth. That's it. At the end of the day, whether it's the USS Liberty, the JFK assassination, 9/11, whatever the case may be, the Gulf of Tonkin, all these things, we need to know the truth, and then you decide what the truth is. But Phil, you're a freaking hero, man. You're a hero in my book.
Boy, that's way too kind.
No, I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. Listen, I give you so much. I give you so much credit. You told me you're almost 79. I said I wouldn't have guessed a day over 65, but the fact that you're still at this and you are out there, you're doing interviews, you're doing podcasts because you are a beacon of the truth. You know, you just want people to understand what happened to you guys on that day. And I give you all the credit in the world for that, my friend.
Thank you. The 34 shipmates, young men that got slaughtered that day will never be forgotten by me
Yeah,
or the rest of the crew until we're all dead and gone. Thank you, Ray.
absolutely. All right, buddy. All right, everybody. Call a spade a spade. Phil, hang on the line. We'll talk to you guys soon.
This episode was brought to you by Zippix nicotine toothpicks. Zip more, smoke less. Totally satisfying, discreet, and delicious. Zippix nicotine-infused toothpicks are available in 6 great flavors, each containing at least 2 milligrams of nicotine to curb those cravings. Zippix is FDA registered and proudly made in the USA. Use discount code DSD for 10% off your order at zippixtoothpicks.com. Zip more, smoke less, save 10%.